There is far more I wish to share with you about the Samadhi sound healing event. I've achieved the impossible. If I was to say to you, from a position with nothing, I now move amongst royal circles. Move past the physical, it's nothing to do with the physical as such. The physical is just the play out of it though. So the music event, I'm seeing their energy, I'm seeing their crowns, the crown chakras. So in a way you could see I'm seeing a higher, I was seeing a higher perspective. It's a big picture because this structure that we're in is dome shaped. It's like half a circle. It's like we were in concave earth, you could say. Every picture tells a story, and this is just a story that I'm weaving from a perception. I take on the role of the serpent because I'm showing you there's an apple, the toroidal field of that collective within that dome, the world within a world, as it were, you could say. And above everybody's heads, I was starting to see like a phoenix and a dragon. Well, I'm a bearded dragon. I found the phoenix within, the fiery serpent within. I acknowledge that. I am about to play the part of Moses and give you the Exodus as well. Not the previous outplay version, but the one where I act as a perfect gentleman. What does a perfect gentleman do? He holds the door. There's a human race to find an exit, which is an exodus, exodos. So it's shall we say, appears to be external and it's a direct operating system. Where are we going with this? Right. What happens with that collective energy? It swirls. It's like a yin and yang of colours. They don't blur, but collectively they make this picture as well. So I played that part that's often shown in a depiction of this man on his hands and knees, popping his head out the dome. Well, I went outside for a smoke. And it came to me that within that dome, within that world, in that moment, that collective had probably no thought about conflicts in the world, stories, rumours of wars, and all the other fears and perceived fears, as it were. And it was just such a beautiful energy, and the positive vampire, it's feeding on that light, that infinite light that is radiating out through the physical eyes, through the pupils. It's a beautiful thing to experience, to witness. I'm playing the part of John. I am the witness now as well. See how transitioning to playing all the parts, using biblical references in these particular instances. It's all in stance. It's your stance. It's your pose. What are you posing? What are you supposing? What are you exposing? In any word like that, the commonality is pose. I wish now also to tell you a true story. I'm not going to mention the people involved, but what I will say, those people at some point will hear what is said. Those people may find it uncomfortably honest or brutally honest to hear. It will strike a chord inside them because they know I'm talking about them. I need to paint the picture. I need to weave a story. The person involved is rejected by the mother, who basically abandons the children. No judgment on the reasons why. I'll come to that when we talk about the other parent, the father. The father is now all this child has got. So consciously as much as subconsciously is latching on to the father. The father may have had a childhood that had lack of wealth, some sort of lacking of not having things, which has an effect of polarizing you into focusing on being the parent that has to be the breadwinner, and having an own business, the focus is going on the business. Now imagine being the child of this person. You now create a video with this father who is talking about his life, but for the first, I think it's 20, 30 minutes, he doesn't mention this child at all. Now this is where we stop. We now go back to source. Let me take you back to where it all began and what was being shown, what was being reflected. Rejection by a parent. A much closer bond with the other parent. So you've got two polarities there. Now, what this is showing is all to do with love for a start. Now that the father in this story has become so business focused, he's become lost to the world. There may be another reason why. It may be the work ethic thing was instilled to him in childhood, and this is the generational sins of man by replicating, because the child of this man has a similar business and now is becoming focused on the business, but it's fast, it's a lot to think of, it's an addiction, because it's keeping you away from addressing the core part of this is the experiences of those that raise you is reflected on how you're raised and what you then perpetuate unless you recognize what is being shown. The rejection on the one polarity, the sticking fast and not letting go on the other polarity between the mother and the father. So you've got the two separate hemispheres being represented. There's a widening gulf. They're splitting apart. They've gone in two separate ways in the physical as well. The child is stuck in the middle, but doesn't really have a choice, is with the father. But it can lead... Now, there's no right or wrong answer to this. The business is being able to channel creativity and follow the heart's desires and dreams. But also, balanced with that is it's masking, addressing that issue. Now, the person that knows I'm talking to them in this, that is going to resonate like fuck. It's not going to be comfortable to hear, but it will be, you may be caught a little bit off guard by that. Because I've not mentioned that I'm going to be talking about that. But it may spark and jolt things within you as well. Subconsciously, because it's warm, what I'm expressing, I have no top on, but I'm not putting the camera any further down. But the body is telling, it's reflecting, I'm revealing. So, moving now to playing Moses. Now, from an egoic sense, it'd be, here we go. Alright, so I'll play Tutmosis, it doesn't matter. Don't get lost in the details of any story. what this energy creates is a whirlpool, a vortex. It feels like going down the drain, water running down the drain. Now this is where beauty of timing comes back in. It's not loss, it's not lack, not in upside down world, but water running down the drain. It's pushing the drain away. With a bath or something, the sheer volume, the sheer weight, the sheer gravity of that water, that energy, is too much for that plug. It can't digest it. It's higher vibration energy that is being vampired, having the lifeblood sucked out of you and becoming retired, exhausted, earning a living and ending up possibly in an urn. Whereas the vampire, as in the pyre fire, is feeding on the infinite light of your soul family. Then you've also going back to the other story. Look at when you change perspective. So you do see things at a higher level with a collective energy in the physical. But Rudolf Steiner describes humanity as upside down plant man. We need to look at the bare bones of a plant. So green is the lifeless image of the living in Rudolf Steiner's explanation of colour. So we're looking at a tree in winter. That is still living, but it's asleep. It's still life. So you can now see the branches clearly. You can penetrate through where the green would be if it was a different time. And you can see all the branches. You can see everything. Now consider your whole nervous system, how that replicates tree roots. The plant kingdom roots in earth. Humans have roots to their hairs and soles on the feet. We're upside down. We're the hanged man, the fool, all in one. I can't even remember the tarot card number. I feel is it number 5? So that if it is, then that's reflecting 5 external senses, 5 internal senses, because you're changing the polarity. You're not upside down when you can flip the polarity on everything. Imagine the collective energy of more groups of 40 or 50 people gathering together. What kind of vortex is that going to create? Everything follows the same pattern. It starts in the darkness, it starts in imagination, it starts in the mind. There's the one secret society that is not bad, because it's what you secrete. Nobody else knows what's going on in your head. It's a secret known only to one, which is, I believe, a biblical quote. We need to go back to source. So Moses doesn't make it with the Exodus. He doesn't need to. But the exit will be going back to source, because you will now be able to eat from the fruit of the tree of life. Because just like you'll see the bare bones of the tree in winter, a deciduous tree that sheds its leaves and reveals itself in its rest period. Now apply that rest period, so you divide your day into resting, being and doing. So when you're just being, you are still life. And it's an internal looking at that still life. It's internally being the master of that art class and being able to see all round, be able to get more sides of the picture. So you are amazed. It is amazement. Amazement communicated from the heart, the wow factor. Rather than looking externally and being amazed because it's now become conceptually a puzzle to try and figure out and work your way through. But if you can see the bigger picture, I feel this will increase. I've had superb communication with these kittens, getting direct eye contact. One of them, I spoke telepathically of unconditional love, and they're not here as protectors to sacrifice their lives to save me. They are here as a reflection to show me that we can talk to the animals like Dr. Do-little, just being, accessing the living Akashic records. Can't talk again. The life. So it's the blood and the life. The blood is the oil of the physical avatar that interacts with the metaphysical spiritual oil, which is the infinite light, not the illumination, which is the illusion. Illumination is just another way of expressing the internal light of the world inside yourself. But do you want to see that kind of morning, the rising sun? Or would you rather look at a setting sun? Consider these things, but consider that pattern of something starts in imagination. That is reflected in all the stories you get to import fear from. But if you're creating the story and you're in touch with yourself, you've learned that communication to understand the feelings. If it feels like water is spinning down the drain, this is why it's upside down. It's actually, the ascending is downwards, especially when you're the hanged man. You're taking a deep dive, you're grounding. It's not going up at all, is it, in this physical reality? It's going within Earth. Your physical body is your Earth. But of course it will lead to a play out. So in a way, you could say even talking about the Phoenix weapon will potentially manifest that. But even if it does, even if that happens anyway, how is it going to affect you? Because unless you wish to see it, and I would suggest if you wish to see it, and just see it, just be a watcher. Because from the perspective of those that are seeing the Phoenix weapon and feeling the results of that Phoenix weapon, they will see you as evil beings, these watchers, as well. That's something to consider, because it's all about still life and perspective again. This is the third video I've made, but there was something else with that music venue. The food was beautiful. That was the other thing. Because you could taste the love in the food, because it was done with an intention of love for the most beautiful experience. That treasured moment. The moment is when it comes back into the mind. So the om is the on, and the ment is the mind. It's all in the moment. So is this doable? Is it possible that we can create a vortex, or maybe more than one vortex? Is it possible? Because I'm showing you an exit, an exodus. I feel this is worth pursuing. Pursuing has the word purse. Now, it's not monetary wealth that's going in that purse, in that pursuing. And it's pursuing, so it's something that is not implied to have it's not pursued, it's not happened, it's not in the past, it's something you're actively doing. And the abundance and wealth that will fill that purse, it will just be more light. It's like the song by Visage, the visual age fade to grey.